It's Hadar.
Hadar, okay.
So welcome everybody. Thank you for coming to this open Zoom meeting. Lovely to see you all. So yeah, I mean, there's just simply whatever seems to be happening or whatever thought seems to suggest is happening. Somebody looking tired, claiming something to be in a certain way. You know, there's just this. And as far as thoughts are suggesting, and without thoughts, we can say there's, you know, without the story, what is happening, you know, without thoughts suggesting that there is something, is there something or not? So that's the question. I mean, anyway, there's just simply this, whatever there seems to be happening, and this may just simply shift or stop, you know, the interest to do these types of meetings, or, you know, the interest to play football, or to do self-inquiry, or to read books, to do practices, may just simply stop. I would say innocently, as there's no one doing them already, able to make them stop. At the same time, this is not a message that there is no doing. There's definitely doing. There's just simply no you as a separated doer. So yeah, looking tired and you know, coming up with all types of assumptions and conclusions why this tiredness, which seems to be there, is there, and to try to find a reason, and finding that reason like a suitable reason, you know, and agreeing that it is as it seems to be, or as thought seems to suggest it is already just simply this. And there can be a belief that it's actually like this. There can be a belief, I have a life, and that's me, you know, the body. I'm the body, I have a life, and I'm existing in time and space and all that. And it's all just innocent, you know, and this belief may just simply end. The belief that it is as it seems to be, or as thought seems to suggest it is, may just stop. Anyway, it doesn't need to stop for this to be already just simply what it is. Beliefs, disbeliefs, liking, not liking, loving to do Zoom meetings may just simply stop. This interest may go. And there's no one able to hold that interest up as a you. I mean, there may be a trying to keep it running, you know, to keep the interest high. It's as innocent as the interest itself. The wanting to keep it going, the wanting to talk, and until it just crumbles or stops or shifts into another interest, maybe watching, I don't know, football, or the newest series about the Viking, or whatever. Anyway, welcome everybody. So good to see you. Let's see if anyone wants to share something. Gio, Tony, Patricia, Rosa, Garrett, Hadar, Tony, Kai. We don't see you, but it's okay. Anyone?
Sweetheart, I just want to say that for no reason I love that you are doing this. And yeah, just to mention this.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony was saying something about spiritual bypassing. I guess most of you has heard this before, and then Gia was saying, Gia, what were you saying? There are no people. There is no spiritual bypassing. What was coming up there?
Yeah, the joke was more or less like that. That spiritual bypassing is for people, is for a person, is for an entity. Only an entity can bypass anything. Because if there is no separation, if there is no entity, who is there to bypass, and to bypass what? separate. There is no separation. And the same goes with what Sander said, that there is doing. But if I am not there to do it, it seems to be a different kind of doing, right? In Chinese, it is called Wu Wei.
Ah,
It's a doing that is empty, right?
Yeah,
I'm
Gio, beautiful. Hey, Gio, beautiful. My mother introduced me to Wu Wei. I remember, I loved it. But you know what? I wasn't able to listen to you, sweetheart. You know why? Because I was impressed of the beautiful sound quality. It seems that you managed the microphone. It's
Oh,
amazing.
really?
You sound perfect, sweetheart. That's why I wasn't listening to the content. Sorry.
I'm just holding, perhaps I'm grounding the microphone, and the sound got better.
So Rosa is saying you sounded so clear that she totally ignored you.
Yeah, I understood that, yeah.
so can there be doing without a doer? Tony.
Yeah, I would say there is no doership. Everything is just arising spontaneously, but so too is the personal doership also arising spontaneously.
As there's no one doing the sense of personality.
The personal doership is also just arising.
Yes.
So there is doing on a personal level, but that too is just arising spontaneously, as everything else is, out of non-doership. And I didn't get that from Karl Rentz.
What do you mean? You didn't get it. What is
Oh,
there
you sent
to?
me the link. You sent me the link to Karl Rentz. Yeah, which I listened to about half of that.
Okay, and you didn't get it.
Yeah. Well, he was making fun of Rupert Spira because of his awareness, being aware of awareness stuff. So he was kind of making fun of him.
Werewolf.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But anyway, there seems to be personal doership, doesn't there? There seems to be an expression of personal doership as well as non-doership.
Yeah.
So we can say it's both and neither. I mean, sometimes it seems like flipping coins from real to unreal, from me to no me, where I would say it's both and neither simultaneously, yet something completely different. So in a way, it's paradoxical. So, I mean, you see a lot, these beautiful statements and non-dual claims that, well, nothing is happening. There's just absolutely nothing. And in here, it's just
So
as
so the question to Gio was about spiritual bypassing, and then Gio said, well, there is no entity who can do the spiritual bypassing, but nevertheless, the spiritual bypassing may happen, appear to happen from
yeah.
a doer. That's all you can really say, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's no entity in the way that there is no complete thing you can look at that is a personal self. That doesn't exist, but nevertheless, there is the expression of doing. And I don't think you can just pretend it away. You can't just pretend it's not there.
Although
What-
trying may seem to happen, with Rosa always called bullshitting yourself.
What is the spiritual bypass?
Well,
Well, Sandy, you brought it
question,
up. You should
Hadar.
define it then.
So So let's say an innocent, you know, replacing of a certain belief system by a new belief system, which
Okay.
which creates a certain type of you know, I got it, or this feels nice, and it's, you know, of course innocent and spontaneous, you know, trying to, there's no separated doer switching the belief system for another. At the same time, this may well be what seems to be happening, you know, shifting beliefs from real to unreal, from real to, oh, it's just a dream. And then maybe even a sense of, you know, how you call this, a good feeling may arise even out of this.
And it feels like if there is a good feeling out of it, so like maybe the person think he got it, you know, because there is just good feelings. So it might be it's confirming a certain state, and then I can say I got it. I'm spiritual. I feel so good, and
That's it. Yeah.
in
But-
different ways.
But these things, you know, at the same time, it's impossible to hold it up, because, you know, even that at a certain time will crash, because there's no ability to hold anything in that way.
This is why people maybe trying to keep the feel good state as the idea that if I get it, I understand it, so I'm just going to feel good all the time. So
Well,
and
yeah.
to keep the idea all the time to feel good in a way, like find different idea to keep the high all the time. If the idea that feeling good is the point of being enlightened or getting somewhere.
And also, you could say that if you deny the individual personality, that's also a kind of spiritual bypassing. I mean, you're just replacing one kind of conditioning with another by saying, oh, there is no one here. That's just a mindset that you're imposing on yourself. I mean, the irony is that the one who is saying there is no person is a person, because it's all coming from the mind.
No, not always.
It's
Where
Not
then?
always. Because
Uh-huh.
sometimes the expression, the finding the words, the junction of the words is coming from the mind, but that's just a technical issue. And there is no one doing it. And the person who is saying these words is aware that there is no one doing it.
But there's no
You know what I would say,
mind,
Gio?
right?
I would,
There's
yeah,
no
I would. You know what I would
mind.
say, Gio? I would say if you're just in this flow, if you're in the river, if you're in the flow, whether there is impersonal or personal, it doesn't matter. I mean, who would care? If you're just in that flow, you're quite happy just to be in that flow, whether it's personal or impersonal.
Well, you mean when there's just beingness? Let's call it that.
Well, when there's beingness, yeah, I wanted to use that word because that's your word as well. So if there's just the beingness, then there's just this flow, spontaneous flow, and whether that spontaneous flow is being expressed in a very personal way, whether you're saying I or not I, it doesn't matter. It's all in the beingness.
Well,
Whether there is a me or no me in that moment.
Tony, in the beingness, there's no additional loop about I, or when you say there's no caring, because it's not even playing out in that way. There's not even. I mean, in a way, there's
Well, in the pure beingness, there is no
exactly
person. There's no
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but if someone feels separate, if someone feels that he is a person, a separate person, and he says, "Oh yes, this is it already. This is also it," It's just words. Because if you feel limited to a mind body, you cannot say that you are the totality. If you say
Yeah,
that
but
you
I'm
are a
not saying
totality,
that I feel
no,
like
I
a
am not.
separate
I
person.
don't mean you. I don't mean you,
Yeah,
Tony.
yeah,
I'm using the words you
sure.
as
Yeah,
we, okay,
yeah,
or
yeah,
anyone.
yeah.
Because if you really feel that you are limited to a body mind, how can you say that anyways it is the totality and it is no one? It becomes a bit theoretical, no? I don't know.
Oh
Well,
yes, yeah, I agree. Yeah,
well,
I agree.
in a way, Gio, if that is what is felt, you know, if there's a lived sense of separation, in a way, that is the totality of whatever seems to be happening at that moment, and nothing else.
Sure, it must be. But yeah, I don't
Right?
have arguments against that.
So, but at the
Yeah,
same time, so when there is a sense of having a life and feeling separate, so saying there is no separated you will not change it.
If you are not separate, but you are expressing it through the limited personality, it's quite legitimate, it's quite valid to say it. If you see this limited self as not being different, not just separate, but not different from
oh
the
yes.
totality, then it's quite legitimate to say it. But it's also possible to use those same words if you don't actually feel that,
Yeah,
because you may just be quoting from the non-duality playbook.
exactly.
You've learned the words because you've read all this stuff about non-duality. So you could just be saying it because you're just parroting what people say.
And that
Yeah,
parroting
So,
is as innocent and spontaneously as
yeah,
anything else.
of
yeah, well, I
course,
knew you.
yes.
Yes, of course. Well, that too is just happening. Yes.
Yeah,
But it will not, you know, it will never work because it's hard to keep things going in the absence of a you already holding up a belief, able, you know, or having a belief, able to hold it up. In the end, it will crumble. Any
But
belief
Sander, how can you
system will
possibly
stop.
even, how can you even explain that? You see, if you can say, well,
Hard to
there is this
explain.
apparent person, there is this apparent person who says, I want to change my life. You know, I'm not happy with my situation. I'm going to do something to change my life. I'm going to take a different direction. You can say that while at the same time having no control whatsoever
Oh
over
yes,
your
of
life.
course. That is itself is already uncontrollable. So the need for a change is already uncontrollable.
there is no way
But
out. We are
if
free. No way out.
Yeah, but that what I just said could be either a sense of frustration that could cause you some disturbance in the mind,
Mhm.
because you might say, I want to change my life, but I'm not in control of it. That could cause your mind to be disturbed. Or the second scenario is that it doesn't disturb you at all.
Exactly. Both may seem to play, or one or the other. But anyway,
Because
that
of course, even
is
yeah, yeah.
in an absolute way uncontrollable. I mean, this the sense, the lived sense that there is control, that this is controllable as such, itself is already uncontrollable. The sense, the lived, I'm not talking about the idea or the thought there's control. The lived sense, I have control, is already uncontrollable.
But for the person who feels separate, this is an instruction, not a description. For the person who does not feel separate is a description, but for
Mhm.
the person who feels separate is a prescription. He will say, well, it must be right. I suppose, yeah, it's correct.
You know,
but
sometimes things feel
not
more
quite.
spontaneous than at other times, don't they? Because if you just act or think, by the time you even had a chance to reflect on it, to think, why am I thinking this? Or you're already done, right? But there are times when you don't feel that, when you have what I call a conflicted thought.
Mhm.
You have a thought where you're indecisive. I want to do this, but I should do this. You know, people talk about having a conflict between their head and their heart.
Yeah,
You know,
but
that's a common theme, isn't it? So in those moments where you feel conflicted, which also is just appearing spontaneously, it appears to be less spontaneous because you're conflicted. You're undecided about which path to take. So that can happen, of course.
of course.
But I don't believe in more or less. To me, there is no such thing as more or less. Or you are free, or there is freedom, or there is not. Or there is
Oh, I'm not
time,
talking
or there
about
is
freedom. I'm not talking about freedom. I'm talking about the subjective feeling that you are either clear about what you want to do or you are conflicted. That nothing to do with being
Okay.
free.
Okay.
If you are free, and you're conflicted, then you just see it for what it is. Okay, you're
Yeah.
conflicted, and you just wait a little bit of time, and you will pick one of those paths. All you have to do is wait until one of them is chosen quite spontaneously and
Well,
presented to you, and then you say, "Oh, I decided to do B instead of A."
there seems to be let's call it, just for the sake of pointing, there seems to be what is called the inner dialogue, and then there's an agreement, a yes or a no. What is not, but the yes or the no to any thought arising is just another thought agreeing as a follow-up of another thought. It's a thought upon a thought, and out of that actions may arise, yes, including the sense I'm conflicted and I don't know what to choose between yes or no. It's not something else. It's the same so-called mechanism.
A mutual friend of ours posted something in that new group. You know who I'm talking about? A friend, but not a friend. It seems he posted this. His name begins with M. So he posted this. He said, "Can I be awake because I cannot be awake because I'm attached to my thoughts. But as there is no one who is attached or not attached to thoughts, and they're just simply arising, then how can that be?" So that kind of thing gets said all the time, of course.
Attachment to thoughts.
Yeah. So he proposed this question. He said, "Well, how can I be awake if I'm attached to my thoughts?" But then, since the attachment or non-attachment to thoughts is just simply spontaneously arising, and there is no one being attached or not attached to thoughts, then how can that be that I would be awake or not, whether I was attached or not attached to thoughts?
But
But this is a very common circular kind of logic.
yeah, and it's based already on the so-called idea that there's a you able to be awake or to not be awake.
Yeah, but in reality, the personal doership may arise that you think, well, maybe I should do something or not do something.
Oh yes.
I mean, if you just take this view that everything is just happening, you could get into a state of mind when you just don't get out of bed in the morning. You know what I mean? You just go, well, what's the point?
We talked about this.
So I don't get out of bed. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's spiritual bypassing.
well, we talked about
Exactly,
this
Gio. That's it. Yeah.
because and you know, this can be heard in many ways. These, you know, this so-called suggesting that there's no doer can be heard in many ways, and one way is, okay, so I can just let it go, I don't have to do anything. But the funny thing is that it's already the case. you know, so I would say, well, try to lay on the couch and not do anything, and let's see how that will work out, because it will not happen. So the trying to let it just all go may just seemingly happen, but there's no you able to hold the lying up on the couch for a length of time. In the end, it will be standing up, and this will move, and you know, because nothing can be hold it on for an infinite amount of time, including just let it go to waste. So I would say try to let it go to waste, and let's see. It's the same like trying to come into the now or to be conscious or whatever. You know, it will never work. So just
It's like that story I told about the Zen master. You know, the woman asked the question, how should I live my life? What, give me some tips. What should I do? Whatever. And the Zen master just said, just do what you like.
yes. And it was funny that you mentioned the heart, because this is we seem to have those types of funny things, you know. You have to listen to the heart, you know, but the heart, it's a funny thing. The only sound which the heart seems to make here is boom 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 boom, but it never speaks, you know. It's funny, you know. You listen to the heart and not to the head or whatever. But this itself creates already a certain type of you know, delusional, that there is, you know, that there is two where you can listen to something.
Well,
with
it's
the
just a
heart.
mental, it's just a way of, yeah, it's just
Oh
a way
yeah,
of saying that heart is an emotional part of the mind, isn't it? It's
of
just,
course, but these things can seem to spiral out of, you know, it becomes a reality on its own, as if there is, you know, two. One thing which is good, and that is what comes from the heart, the decision, and it's in a way also, you know, I listen to the heart, so then it's good, you know. But no one have a fucking clue what the heart is saying.
well, conflicted thoughts do arise, but that's all you can say. I mean, a conflicted thought is just one thought and then another thought that contradicts the first thought.
Yeah.
And then you keep going back to the first thought. You just go between the two, right? Because I think you can only think one thought at a time.
Well,
you can't think two thoughts.
well, the funny thing is
The issue is always being at entity. Thoughts are okay. If you those thoughts already something.
Whoops, he's gone.
he's gone. He fell away in a non-duality meeting.
I was going to say to Gio, I never think about whether I'm an entity or not. The thought never arises in my mind unless I'm having this kind of discussion.
Exactly, because when there is just, let's say, daily life activities or whatever, there's no question about separation, me or no me or whatever. There's just, you know, there's not even, I mean, I would almost say that without this so-called story, there's nothing happening in the sense. The story is the happening in a way.
It's the separation that seems to cause all the problems, isn't it?
Yes, but that so-called, the so-called story is not separate. It's not separated from the non-story.
Yeah, but even the story isn't a problem
No.
if you're not pulled into some kind of mental whirlpool where you keep analyzing it all the time. So what is it that pulls you into that kind of analyzing of the mind? What is it? What is this force that makes you do it? Because when you do it, you don't feel happy about doing it. Nobody feels happy about doing this.
Well, I would say it doesn't really matter. I mean, this getting pulled into, you know, it. So at a certain point, getting pulled into or not getting pulled into, it's either one or the other. right?
Well,
We can
yes.
come up with all types of conclusions and assumptions why this may happen. But that's, I mean, in the end, there's no answer to that either, more than just another, thought upon why thoughts or why this pulling in may happen. It keeps it going, spinning, so to say, until it doesn't spin, right?
Well, you could reach that conclusion about everything, that it's just happening, and that's fine. That's true. But there is this apparent doer who can look at something like that and say, well, I have the power to do something. I have the power to change, and that's going to arise. Now, whether that's arising spontaneously without doership or not, it still happens.
Oh yeah.
And it's acknowledged, it's noticed. Saying that, well, one thing has to arise or another thing, that's not going to change anything. That's not going to solve what apparent problem is appearing that you want to do something about, or you want to change. That's not going to give any comfort that there's nothing you can do, it's just happening. So this apparent doer has, or seems to have, the power to change. And if that's what it is, then that's what it is.
Yeah, and we talked about this, right, Tony? That what you're saying basically is, saying that it's just happening is not helping when they're suffering, and because it is not going to end by just saying it's just what's happening, right?
Or you do the big spiritual bypassing trick where you say, even the suffering is just okay because that's what it is. Boom. Oh, I wasn't saying that particularly to draw attention to you, Rosa.
Yeah, sweetheart, but it's really like this. Here it's boom, it means nothing, and it means everything. And here is really just seeing the nonsense and everything, and or the sense and everything. It's simply, there is simply the opposite collapsing. And so it's everything already, it's every idea, it's every bypassing, it's everything you call it, everything you imagine it. And at the same time, it's like a deep sleep. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter if there is a chain of thoughts going or sleeping.
Yeah, but if somebody came up to you and said, my wife or husband has just left me and I've lost my job, and you said, it's just everything and nothing happening to no one, that wouldn't really cut it, would it? I mean,
if it's going to come out here, it's going to come out, but highly probably not. Or maybe yes, I don't know.
Exactly. We talked about this, Tony, because this is a good point. You know, I mean, like Rose is saying, well, maybe this will come out. It depends. I would guess it depends also a little bit who is saying that. In a conversation, if it's your neighbor who lost her son, or someone.
Yeah, I'm talking about people generally. This is,
or someone out of the so-called group where you have your meetings with. I mean, so probably there can be also comforting talks, or wanting to support in any way. It's hard to say. In a way, anyway, it's hard to say what will happen. Anything may arise in that moment when someone is saying. But totally, yes. Highly probably, you're not going to say to your brother who lost his wife, well, nothing is happening, you are not here. I don't see that. I don't see that as. Of course, I'm not saying it will not be, but probably there will be some other conversation going on. Not well.
Yeah, there's still that transaction
real.
going on.
You don't lose your wife. You never had a wife and all that. No.
I mean, I was just thinking of Ramesh Balsekar, who was the chief translator for Nisargadatta. Anyway, his big thing was there is no doer. I mean, he kept saying that all the time. There is no one who's doing anything. But then again, in one of his meetings, he said, But that's no good if somebody knocks on your door and says, "Where's that 10 rupees you owe me?" It's no good saying, "I don't owe you any money. I'm not the doer. I'm not the doer." You know, he sort of laughed about it. He said, "You can't do that either,
Exactly,
even though you're not the doer."
exactly, exactly.
Here it was when these things come up, like these sentences, "I'm not the doer," or there's nobody there. Here it was seen as just like a question, something to say something, but there's no answer to it in a way. So when it was said, it just made kind of a reflection. He said, okay, he said, there's no somebody, I'm here, so it's kind of bringing you to ask this question, just a reflection, and look for, like, okay, he said that, so what does it mean, and it brings to just a reflection without an answer. And this is like when you say there is like, for example, when Emerson said this is the between. It's not like there is something in the between, but there is, when you ask yourself, go to the between, not the white, not the black, what there is in the between. So it's stay blank in a way.
Yeah, that's a really
So
good point. That's a really good point, Hada, because there aren't always answers to these kinds of questions.
No, but most
Yeah.
of those questions are ridiculous. What is a tree without a tree?
Well, I'm going to mute myself. I've got dogs outside barking. I'll just mute myself.
I don't think it's a questions to be answered in a way. It's
Yeah.
just like it brings looking back and say, okay, is it possible? Like there, I mean, it was not even here. It was not even possible to think before. Before I heard, when they started, I heard Tony Parsons and Jim Newman. When the first time I heard, and when they said there is no you, it was just like, like I didn't even thought about this option, So it's bringing like another look backward and say, okay, there's no me. What does it mean? So it's question without answers in a way. So and
I
this
think
is why
Tony Gurry had a similar thing when Tony Parsons told him there was no me. I remember you saying something about that, Tony, in another meeting.
So I first heard it with what's her name, Naho, and she was very very nice personality. Like the way she speak, it was really really nice. So when she said that, it was the first time I was just like even reflecting about it. So that this reflection just said, okay, there is no me. What does it mean? So it's not like I'm going to repeat it. Okay, there's no me, so I can relax. There's no me, so I can do something else. But here it was just sound like, okay, just the notion, it was interesting. Of course, it can be used to relax the system, because the system is so wind up with fears and this imagination about how things, because the system of this protection system works about thinking what's going to be and working on the past, stories from the past. So you're making visualization, what can it be for surviving? And there is also memories, what happens. So it's always very tense.
Yes.
So
but
it can happen that if you say that, okay, this is boundless energy, or you can talk about this is God. This, it can happen, can be heard. Also, there is relaxation of the system. Something can be relaxed just hearing that. And then when the system is less afraid, maybe something else can be heard after that.
Well, I mean, that is what we talked about also. So all these things, it can be an innocent, relaxation for the system, so to say. It's all love, or there's nothing happening, and from believing this to be really happening, and maybe it's not really happening. It's the same basically with being the observer, there seems to be a zooming out. It's made less personal when there's a real sense of a
Yeah.
you, and even if that sense is just is fading a little bit, there seems to be a direct relaxation, and these things definitely all may seem to be helpful in a way. I'm not saying, but
Yes,
it's hard to keep those things up, you know. When it's on that level, it needs
this is
to
not,
be
you
engaged
never
the whole
find the
time.
truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no truth in that. There's no like, okay, this is it now, this is the observer. Here was also doing meditation, doing the observer, doing all this stuff. It give another perspective. Like people taking sometimes drugs, sometimes things happen, it gives another perspective to life. So it's become much more wide, less personal. And then there is just kind of reflection. You're less looking for answers, looking for survival, looking for this truth that will save you. There's nobody to save. There's nobody
Was
to
that
save.
was that an experience you got from your meditation?
So for meditation, it was just I like to go deep in because it was very quiet. That was very nice to feel the quietness, to have another perspective of quietness. So that was nice. But it was not, I was not looking, because if you go too far in this rabbit hole, I remember with Rupert Spira, going to get to find this consciousness and all this theory about, this observing that. And it was too much, it was just becoming a story.
Oh
So
yeah, he was just
the
saying
only
that
thing
because
that,
he wants you to come to his satsangs. Yeah.
so this is why I said this is when it goes too much in the rabbit hole, becoming like all this to find, like there is a lot of explanation about it, and doesn't
Oh,
need
but I would say,
explanation when you
yeah,
go
but yeah, but I would say that just forget about Rupert Spira because it's just you involved in this meditation. It doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. But it's not possible to go too deep into that. This is what I would say.
No, I'm saying too deep in that in the stories. I mean, in the stories
Oh, yeah.
about the way works, consciousness, look at yourself and all these things, like God is doing,
Well,
like this.
you can never figure it out, Hadar. I think that is what you want to say. On that level, you can never ever figure it out. It will never be exactly, you will never come to any, well, this is
No,
it.
I agree. I agree with Harder. I mean, all of that theoretical stuff is not really
It's
necessary.
conceptualizing. I mean, and
Yeah.
another thing which seems to be happening is that there may be an identification with you being, the physical body, and when this seems to happen, there's of course there's fear and there's separation, because now there's a you who's exposed, who has no control, and this person will die and is born and all that. So this is also a
Well,
thing.
even going into that silence, even going into that stillness, it's possible for that to be a bit scary because there's this feeling of becoming extinct.
It's another perspective, yeah.
Of ceasing to exist because you're still hanging on to this personal self.
But it was not
Because that, yeah.
Generally,
it was not to disappear. Here it was not the reason to disappear or to do something that this should not exist anymore.
well,
so it was just more like exploration, and it felt good.
Yes, of course, it felt good. Yes, I mean, you're talking my kind of language, but the thing is that you'll never disappear. Here's the irony, you see, because you can say that the apparent doer, who is the meditator, decides to meditate, but the point is that the meditator is gone then, because if you go into that stillness, there is no longer a doer. So that's the whole point of discriminating between the doing and non-doing.
So the after was what was seen, that the meditator and the meditation, it's the same thing. There is no difference between, because when I was doing these practices, I thought it was me going towards something.
What?
And this this idea that I'm going to go to experience something. There is me to go to experience something. Stop believing in this idea.
Well, yeah, I think you clearly understand it, because people who don't understand meditation say, oh, it's just a mind manipulation. But they don't understand that actually you're putting the mind away to one side. That's you're not manipulating. But
I don't
also
know
it's a question.
I don't know how it works. I just know that it felt good. It was no intention to understand it. Just like going,
Exactly.
guys, relaxing, breathing, having different kind of sensation, going deep relaxation. It just felt very good.
Yeah, exactly. There's no intention, or there's no goal, because if you think of there being a goal, then that really is a mind thing. It's you're having some concept about achieving something or attaining something. So that's not necessary, because if you just become still, that stillness in itself is the kind of answer, if you like. That's it. You don't need anything else. You don't need I mean, okay, the mind might analyze it, because I'm sure your mind analyzed it. You probably thought afterwards, or maybe during, you probably thought, what is this stillness? So maybe the mind started, but that's okay. There's nothing you can do about it anyway. That's in fact, there isn't. It's a question of language, because people talk about I'm going to meditate, but that's not really happening. The state of meditation is just that stillness. So,
and sometimes there was a period. So yeah, Sander, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, you said, Tony, you pointed something out. I go and meditating. It's always, there seems to be, so during anything, there's no, I am doing this, I'm that. It's always in the after, I was going to the store, but when there is a going to the store, there's no additional loop going.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about. No, I think you know what I'm talking about. If there is this idea that, in 1 hour I'm going to sit down and meditate, then that's, you're not saying I am going, you're not having a conversation with yourself. There's no, of course, this is just happening. And there seems to be this feeling that I am going to do this practice, but that too is just happening, of course.
Yes.
But the difference is that when you go into that stillness, you seem to lose that I. That seems to dissolve. That seems to disappear, and there's just stillness by itself. Huh?
But
so here, what I liked about it was that I could function better. That was it was
Afterwards.
Not like that, because the I was considered to be irritation. The I was the one that was irritated about things happening, about relationship, and this felt very strongly. This is what I can call the feeling of separation, because this is irritation that things should not be the way they should, and
Yes, and then afterwards you said, what did you? So you said afterwards it was easier.
So part of what came up in this, there was like hearing about meditation, feeling better. It was always going towards feeling better. I think that was like the carrot. It's between the opposite, like being very irritated and finding things. Okay, I did meditation. It felt good. I'm functioning better during the day. So it just felt good until it stopped.
That's great. It was working for you then. I would say that was working for you.
But Tony,
most of the stuff is to make it work for me. Why not?
Of course, you should go and tell Tim Kliss that. Who I saw a bit of his video today, and he was saying when I got liberated, he said it was disappointing. There was no bliss there. Well, you should
No.
go and tell Tim then about your experience.
No, but I can definitely understand, because there's no bliss. There is the moment that you this
But it was
idea
peaceful,
that
right? It was peaceful.
it's peaceful. I mean, it's not everything now is peaceful.
Same thing,
It's not
same
the
thing, same word, same different word, same thing.
Yeah,
It's a matter
but
of
Bliss is a bit of a loaded word, actually. Bliss is a very loaded word. But you felt some peace there. You felt some peace, and then when you finished, you brought that value, that peace, back into your normal activity to some extent, right?
it's the same
Tony.
for
Where
me.
your day went better.
It's the same thing if I would did exercise. Just here there is preference to do things more calm, in like yoga, meditation, and stuff like that. So, but it's
This-
not because I did meditation, something happened.
Well, there's nothing wrong
Another
with feeling better, is there?
Another perspective of yes, Sander.
well, Gio wants to say something.
Yes, it seems that you two are talking about that kind of meditation that is not already this what's happening.
I don't know what that means.
It means that you are talking about a meditation that is not already happening right here and now.
Correct.
We're talking about the story.
Well, I mean,
Correct. Of course, it's not happening right now.
when you said, Tony,
No,
the I is
yes.
lost in meditation, where is the I in walking? Where is the I in talking? Where's the I in this?
Oh, no. There's why would there be an I?
No, but so I mean, can walking, you know, because you said the eyes can be lost in meditation, and that is, but I would say, where's the I when there's just beingness? There's no I there already.
Oh well. You might. There is in terms of identification. You
Here we go. Here
you
we
identify.
go. Here we go. So
You identify with something.
the funny thing is, you know, what I always found.
Who is identifying?
Yeah, exactly. When you know, we all have been through this, so to say. There's you go to a new job, and then, you know, who are you? And then, well, I'm Sander, this and this and this. So there seems to be a belief in that. You know, if you ask people, they point to this. This is me. There seems to be an identification with you being the doer as the physical body. That's you. And this is a real hard knock. And this is an innocent belief that physical form, you know, the body, that is you. It's something which has been going on, which is being, you know, reinstated over and over. I would say innocently and spontaneously as anything else. But when there is an introducing, tell me who you are, then there's, well, I'm Sander, I'm so old, I'm living there. This is me. And when you say,
when I used to do that practice, I did identify as someone who was doing this practice. Yeah.
So, but in a way, you know, so during anything, beingness or whatever you want to call it, there is no such thing as a center.
Well, I can't say because I've forgotten what that's like.
Yeah, but that's it.
I've forgotten what it's like to be an I.
Tony. Sorry.
Yes, I want to say something about bypassing, but this is still is related with what we are speaking about, because everything is the same at the end, no? But the idea of bypassing is interesting, is beautiful. There's just bypassing. We can help, but bypassing, living, moving, keep speaking about this or about anything is bypassing. And if anyone here, there, thing. Oh, there's not bypassing. Oh, this is bypassing. But at the same time, there's not bypassing. It's not possible. Being only this, to bypassing needs to, and it's not. It's not possible. It's fantastic. It's not possible bypassing. Not at all. It's only freedom. The mind questions: am I bypassing? Is here? Is he? Is she bypassing? No, it's not. It's impossible.
Well, some would say, Tony, that saying there's just freedom is just bypassing.
Yes.
And,
One
and
could
say,
say,
Well, Tony is
Well-
speaking from what is experienced there, right? So
well,
that's what
I'm
he's
not saying
saying.
it's not like that, but you know, it's heard as it's heard. So
yes, yes.
So I mean, let's say if there's bullshitting, then there's just bullshitting. It's spontaneous and it's innocent. Either way, it doesn't matter. I mean, it will never. You can never hold it up. You can say 1,000 times that there's just freedom, and that nothing is happening.
Yes, and there's only bypassing, and there's not bypassing. Who knows? Who knows?
But when you hit your finger with the hammer, there's screaming. There's not saying there's nothing
Yeah,
happening.
Tony, you can only say
Oh.
that from your own perspective, right? You're making a statement from your perspective, right?
Wow, as everybody.
But okay, but also, yeah, okay, but let me just make a point. No, there's nothing wrong with what you're saying. I mean, I don't know. But when you say when you say there is no spiritual bypassing, it's as if you're applying that to everyone else, but you're really only speaking from your experience.
Mhm.
But there's not any else
For you.
for
No, what do you mean? Can you speak for everyone? Really?
who is everyone?
Well, it's whatever notion you have in your mind about who is everyone.
Who knows everyone?
No, I'm just making the point, Tony. What you said is it's okay, but you're only speaking from your perspective.
But,
Right.
but we can't help but speak from our perspective, no? Even thinking that there's not perspective is our perspective, of course.
If you say to someone, some apparent other, God, I hate using the word apparent. I don't know why I'm doing it now. It's like I'm being sucked into the non-duality speak here. The apparent. What was it? I heard somebody talking today about seeming. Was it somebody called Alexis? I don't know. Talking about what is seemingly. Seemingly and apparently, why don't you just drop those words? They're just superfluous. If something's happening, then it's happening for you. It's not apparently or seamlessly.
Let's make it easy, Tony.
Well, we can say every time we open the mouth, we may say apparently or seemingly, because
you can
everything is apparent.
Yeah, and that word goes directly back to Tony Parsons. He's the guy who started using this word apparently. It all goes back to our Tony.
So we have to let's say, Tony, you say, well, that's clear, but how is it for Rosa? Let's just grab the horns by the cow by the horns. So I mean, that is what Tony Daniels is trying to explain. That is how it seems to function, or how it functions for Tony Guri there. But it doesn't need to function in that way for Patricia or for Rosa. It doesn't matter if there is a Patricia or a Rosa. We can say there seems to be a Patricia and there seems to be a Rosa, apparently or seemingly, whatever. I mean, for me, seemingly or apparently is only pointing to the unknowability. So that there's no actual way of knowing if this is or isn't. So it's just pointing to the unknowability, if this is what it is or what it seems to be, as it seems to be.
Yes, and is not any necessity is not needed to know.
Well, at the same time, there may be a need to know.
Tony, you're sorry to just go back to this point again, because I just want to be clear about this. When you talk about, when you say there is no spiritual bypassing happening, right, you're talking about your perception or understanding, whatever you want to talk about it. But it's no good saying that to someone else who doesn't feel that. Otherwise, you're putting yourself in the position where you're saying, there is nobody doing anything, there's nothing happening. And if you don't understand that either, then you're being wrong or you're making a mistake. It could sound like that too.
Well,
couldn't it?
everything may sound like this, but doesn't matter.
Yeah, but you're doing
At
it
the
again,
end-
you see.
at
You're
the
doing
end-
it again. It doesn't matter. It's just
No.
happening.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, but you might say that someone is being solipsistic. You know what is solipsism? When everything
yeah.
is happening here. But there is no such thing as solipsism when there is no separate me. Solipsism can only happen. Yes, I am addressing Tony Daniels when he says that it is just Tony Guri's perspective. But it is not solipsism. Tony Guri is saying that there are no others. There are no others.
Solipsism
and
is
there
the
are
belief.
really no others.
Solipsism is the belief that your mind is the only thing that exists. There is only your mind. There are no. That's solipsism, right?
That's one definition, yeah.
Yes.
Which sounds a lot like non-duality. Yeah, people often say that is non-duality solipsism.
But what's nice?
Ramana was accused for solipsism. I mean, this is it's. But I mean, then again, you can give it all types of names. It's this, it's that. It's
right. Harder. What are you going to say?
I'm saying that what is very nice that each one of us can speak from his own perspective, and there is words coming up, but we don't know the dimensions. Like there is that another expression that we cannot express in words the way we can only use these words to express certain things, and sometimes they can be very precise and pass certain messages that when it's going to hit here, it's going to be heard in a certain way that I will say, wow. Another person will hear it and you're just going to sound, okay, he said that, but what does it mean? So even if there is different perspective, but the communication is not only by words. So what Tony said, I understood in my way what he wanted to say. So it was, for me, it was like saying that it can be heard as there is only bypass, people will just do bypass, and it's this too, it's everything, bypassing, and there is no bypass at all. So this is the way it was heard here.
Yes.
So
I totally understand what Tony said. Totally. I'm just saying that when you then relate to what you're saying to the other,
you can control how the person really relate. This is why sometimes
Tony says no, I don't understand. Tony is shaking his head. He's saying I don't understand.
Well,
it's amazing.
The funny thing is, there is no one owning. There's no one having or owning a perspective.
No, it's just perspective.
There's just a perspective, but it's in a way there's not a you owning that perspective. There's no you having a
perspective.
There's different perspectives, yes. But of course, in language, which seems to be dualistic, there's no problem in saying it's my perspective or saying I think that way anyway.
No.
This is not a matter about language, but in a way, they're just different perspectives as far as it seems.
Tony, I do understand. I cannot find anyone here who is doing anything. That is absolutely certain. but at the same time, deeds are done.
Beautiful.
I
Yes.
can't explain it any more than that.
Yes. That's it.
Hmm?
Yeah.
It's almost like reading a book, and sometimes you can read it, not, and then one day is like, wow, I didn't see that. How come it happened? There is like this like understanding, or something happened, and it's like, whoa. So this is like the beauty in that, like we're hearing in so many languages the same language. You can hear it in so many different ways.
Yeah, and the mind is always imagining, what you might have done as well. How many times you hear people say, what would have happened in my life if I'd gone this direction instead of this way? And then you start to imagine what might have happened if you'd taken a different road. The mind loves all of that, right? It's trying to make more stories that never happened, but may have happened if you did this thing or that thing. It's all very entertaining. It's entertainment. That's what it is.
Oh yes, totally. I mean, without stories, there's nothing. The stories are the juice, I would say. It's the entertainment.
Yeah, Tony, I love it. It's entertainment, really. And yeah,
I mean, what
I just
about
I
stories?
was just enjoying listening to you and to all of you, and this was just pure entertainment. Just flipping the coin, playing with the opposites, just this.
Yeah, it's not even the words,
No, of course not.
Gio.
It's like joining a jazz band. You play together and then you make a solo. You almost fall out of tune, but you come back and it's beautiful.
I like it, Gio. Yeah, so it's funny because the other day I saw, this going into stories or talking about this and that, it only happens because there is a me. And when so this is a sign that there's still a me. What's coming up? Rosa, you trying to unmute? Ah, bullshit.
I just come here to watch Rosa eating. That's the only reason I'm here.
That's why
How do you do that with all the the floating hearts or whatever?
Gio.
That's why I say that to me it's either one or the other.
I mean, what amazes me sometimes is that there seems to be a lot of aversion to so-called teachers or other so-called suggestions. In a way, it can only be when there's an idea that this is the only truth and anything else is not true, which is just bullshit. Teaching,
Sweetheart, I
talking
would
about the
say,
me and is not good because when there's talk about me or when there's teaching, this cannot be it. Then there's something wrong, which is just
Well, you could say they're all saying the same thing, but they're just using different words, different concepts. But they're all saying the same thing.
Or not.
I would say it's business.
Well, or not.
Everything is business. And yeah, sweetheart, you could also do your business with this and earn money, but it's not happening.
Well,
and there,
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But what I see is a rapid declining of interest at the moment, I would say.
For what?
Who? What?
For
Who?
these
What?
types of conversations.
Oh, right now, in this moment.
Well, yeah, these, where there was before, you know, an excitement, it's less and less.
Yeah, yeah. I have that.
That's true.
I have that.
To be honest,
Especially,
no. Sorry, Gio. Go ahead.
especially, you know, when I meet people, I just have to make an effort to pretend that I'm interested, and it's tiring because I don't know, sometimes.
I mean, I don't mean that I think that this conversation is wrong or whatever. No,
No,
just you know, the interest in Facebook groups and all that shit is just rapidly declining.
Yeah, Gio, I can see that you'll never be invited to parties.
no, recently, not really.
So, and a funny thing, you know, this interest.
Sorry, Sander, sorry, can you
Yeah.
explain that a bit more? You said you're seeing there's a declining interest. Can you just say more about that? That's interesting.
Well, what is more to say about it?
Well, I don't know, no, but I don't know where is this declining interest? What?
Well, so there seems to be a comparison innocently for so-called before and now, and then there's an assumption that before there was more excitement to do Zoom meetings, and now there's less excitement to do Zoom meetings, and then out of that there's conclusion that it's now less and before it was more. It's totally innocent, and it's just these conclusions and the comparison to a so-called before in time and space, which is not, there's not an actual past and it's not happening now, but this is just what's coming out.
Yes, well, I don't know. This is quite a new thing for me because until very recently, I really didn't go to any Zoom meetings. So
And the funny thing was, it was already seen, so to say, that also this will pass. This whole non-duality conversation, or whatever you want to call it, sitting here with friends, although there's an enjoyment, will just simply stop.
yeah, but if you go over to the Facebook groups, it seems to be that there are people who never get tired of talking about it.
Well, that's how it seems, but
Isn't that so?
knowing, because in the end it will stop. You know, either you know, we all know this at a certain point, this you know, will stop. As far as it seems, it will stop anyway. Maybe today, maybe in 5 minutes, maybe in 10 years. It will go.
Yeah.
And I don't say, you know, it can very well be that this so-called declining of interest may just simply change into a new excitement and starting all over again. Of course, yes. Maybe, maybe not.
But Tony Daniels, I really I'm enjoying really your freshness and always popping up with new ideas, and I love it. Just blah blah blah, you know, just beautiful bullshit. I love it. Really, it's cool. It's entertainment, yeah. And Zanderlindchen, I get it with
Very
this.
glad to be able to entertain.
Yeah, totally. I mean, come on. That's it. That's it. And for me, in a way, it's really like pure entertainment, no matter what. Loving it, hating it. Yeah.
There is an enjoyment, you know, talking, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people like to share ideas. You could say that's just part of the human side, or
But nothing
wanting to share, right?
You know, yeah, but nothing is like holdable. You cannot hold anything. You cannot hold this in check. You know, you cannot keep the excitement high. It's just simply not possible. Although they're trying to keep it high, you know, may happen. You know, they're trying to keep it going. May happen, of course, but in the so-called end, it's not possible. It's not going to work. It will pass. And it's okay.
Giovanni, I thought last week you were looking very light. There was a lightness about you last week.
And today there is a heaviness, I guess.
No, I think
I
it's
look
still
tired.
No, I just remember thinking last week that there was a real lightness about Giovanni. Anyway, I just thought I'd say that for what it's worth.
Yeah,
But this
beautiful.
I mean here with this
Yeah.
entertainment. With
Yeah.
this
Was there a lightness? No, I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about
Now I
Rosa's,
remember. Yes.
Rosa's meeting a few days ago.
Yeah, because I
There was a
was
lightness
with my
about you.
grandson here, my little
Okay,
grandson,
yeah.
and we shared
Yeah.
our consciousness.
It's so
Okay,
beautiful.
yeah.
Unbelievable how Gio is now putting the blame on the sun.
Yeah, how beautiful, Giovanni, right? This is so beautiful, so direct.
It's just it's a superpower I've got. I can just see directly into your soul. It's a kind of
but
superpower.
you know, when
Yeah.
Giovanni said it's because of my grandchild, there's a direct answer to that and a conclusion, and that it's because of the grandchild. It's so beautiful.
Hmm.
Boom, there it is.
Yeah, this is in a way what I love.
As if that is actually the case. It can be a million other things, but it doesn't matter.
I guess, you know, Zanderlinch and Sweetheart, I guess when if people would come here to the Zoom with bombarding you with questions, like wanting to know, there would be this play of, okay, we will keep it up, we will do the Zooms or the Q&A or whatsoever. And this is like, you know, and this is simply not happening. This is just really like meeting friends. And we don't have to meet here on a recorded Zoom, which is posted on YouTube, in order to share private stories.
No.
Whatever private means. And I simply would prefer simply to share private stuff before going here into the Zoom and talk about non-duality or duality or whatsoever. This excitement in a way is fading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a very different kind of conversation if I'm having a one-to-one.
Teaching.
So I mean, so by that I mean if I'm teaching someone meditation, it's a very different kind of conversation.
Yeah, it's a teaching.
Yeah, and I'm doing a lot of talking usually, but yeah. So it's a different kind of conversation.
So
but,
how should we call this here?
Oh, I don't know. Is it necessary to call it anything? I mean,
let's just for the sake of entertainment. What can we call it?
Jam session.
A mystical encounter.
Yeah, but there is still this roof of non-duality, right? Awakening. There
but
is
those
still
words.
this...
Oh, wait a minute, Rosa. Those words haven't been used very much in this meeting.
I know. But I know. Nevertheless, there seems...
I get what you mean. Yes.
Yeah, and this is in a way collapsing. You know, it's just like impossible to keep it upright, to meet here, to talk, you know, under this roof about this so-called topic. And but it still happens, and that's why I started in the beginning, Zanderlinch, and saying to you that I still love that you are doing this, and I cannot tell you why, because the excitement is already gone a long time ago, you know. But nevertheless, this is playing out like this, interestingly so, we can say. Who knows?
Well, we could change.
How many of these have you done? I don't know.
We could change the, how do you say, the way, the meeting. For instance, to talk, you have to raise your hands, electronic hands. Would be a slight change. Somewhere there is a
I don't
hand
even know
here.
where my electronic hand is. Let me wait.
I will show you, Tony. You go down to
No,
reaction
I'm no.
Reactions.
Wait.
and put your small, or hearts are even better.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Where is the hand?
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a very
Here is the
that's a
hand.
very
Yeah.
So
cumbersome
the next meeting,
process.
we only talk with emoticons or how those.
Okay.
Emoji.
How do I make it go away? Oh, I've got to click it again, have I?
Lower
Can you
hand.
see the hand? Can you
Yeah.
see the hand?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Oh, okay, it's gone. Right, okay.
So, but
That
Yeah,
seems
for
very-
I was going to say a different format for the meeting, just for fun.
Yeah.
It will be different because
Or
everyone
get some different people.
so
Get
we
rid of
can-
these
Also-
boring people. Get some new
also.
ones.
So what we can do also is that so for example next week Gio, you will be the host.
Okay.
What about Sunday? Tony, Guri, you are going to be the host. Or, yeah?
Now, let's wait. No, my English
Okay.
is not.
Tony
Will
Daniels,
Will you
Tony
come up with
Daniels,
some kind of
are
theme,
you going,
a
are you
topic?
going, are you going to join? I'm asking because for you it's nighttime actually. That's
I'm
why,
not sure. I'm
yeah.
not sure. I think one of these a week at 2 o'clock in the morning is okay. Two of these a week. I don't know. It's
Yeah, you're simply too old for this.
What time is there,
Party.
Tony? What time is
well,
it in Thailand?
it's now 3:30 a.m.
Mm.
It's
But
okay.
yeah, there is Tony Daniels. There is this joy to do this, to boom out, to say something. It's quite, it's
Oh,
entertaining.
if there wasn't, I mean, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
here if I was
That's
not
obvious.
at all interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
But what Rosa said is true. Even if we try not, we say, oh, we are just friends meeting here, but there is this cloud of desire to mention non-duality, right? Yeah, but they
that's how
say
it
that it's
grows.
good.
It's grown in that
Sorry?
way. It's also a little bit grown in that way because it started, let's say 10 meetings back, it was even more in that way. It has, in a way, it has morphed a little bit into a more open communication instead of only where before there seems to be only certain non-dual one-liners. There's talking about teaching, about, so it always has been, so to say, an open Zoom meeting, and it was already not stated as a non-duality meeting. Of course, I mean, what is non-duality? There's not a thing called non-duality.
I would say it's
Yeah.
about no separation.
It's about no separation. Let's but it was always been a quite an open meeting for everyone, not only for radical so-called point of views. If somebody let's say, let's take Tony, Mr. Daniels there. In some meetings, it's just those so-called suggestions are just simply not allowed. Where here there was always a trying to keep it open in that sense, because for me it's all this already, it's also there's a need to teach or to help people, or if there's a belief that it's something else, then it's just simply what it is. How can that be wrong?
It's just a big magic show, Sander.
No, it's not a magic show.
Big
This
magic
is also,
show.
some meeting seems to be talk about magic. I saw a post about the hand is not the hand, it's God or whatever, or it's magic or whatever. Well, I can say here a hand is just a hand, it's not energy appearing as a hand. I mean, come on, a hand is just hand. The only thing I can say about the hand is that it's very handy, but that it's magical, no. And it's also not appearing out of nothing. I mean, I cannot say that.
It's in infinity appearing as nothing and everything. Yay!
Yeah, but these these things,
Yay!
you know, when stuff, when there's a certain type of equanimity, let's say that, you know, here there's no need for things to be magical, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, I guess, sweetheart, because you had enough magic mushrooms already.
well, I don't know about that. Gio,
Well, is some people haven't. I mean, Don isn't Don coming anymore. I like some of the things he says.
oh yeah, it's not
Yeah.
wrong. I mean, to be, you know, don't get this wrong. It's just also, you know, claiming that the hand is appearing out of nothing or that the hand is God. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just what's, you know, talk about the hand being magical or this being a magic show or whatever, or that it's all God or that it's nothing appearing as bullshit or that it's all, for me, it's already just simply whatever seems.
I want to listen. I want to hear what Anand Sandhu.
Oh, wait, sweetheart, we have here this rule with the hand. Gio is
Yeah,
raising
Gio
his
was.
hand.
Who is
First
Anand
Gio.
Sandhu?
Wait,
He never.
first Gio. Let Gio, he raises his hands. And
Yeah,
then,
I'm practicing raising my hands. No, I just want to
right.
say that there is a certain underlying meaning to real satsang, that something is shared without having to be explicited. You know, to meet wise people,
Going on here.
it's cool. It's cool to meet wise people. Something
Can't get rid of my
happens,
emoji.
right?
What
Because
what is a wise person, Gio?
yeah, I'm being colloquial. I mean people who can be not people. Meeting persons who are not persons. Meeting only apparent forms, people who know that they are not people, who feel that they are not people. I don't know how to say this better. If
You
you
mean
go to a
like
party, if you
yeah.
go to a party and everybody wants to talk about himself, oh, about my wife, my children, my car, my bank account, that's one thing. But when we come here, there is an openness for something else, isn't there?
Yeah, I know what
Even
you
if
mean.
it's not explicit, yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
I think that's very well put, Gio. Yeah.
yeah. I want to add that talking about cars and money is not bad. You know, this is, you know, and there's a play, you know, this is free to love money and to want a bigger house and until it doesn't.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be here for such a long time if you
No.
have been talking about cars and money.
No, I agree. I agree, yes. So I'm
The
not.
squares would light down, you know.
You know,
from-
Gio, now that you're saying this,
Yeah.
I remember that when talking to people in the job or on the street or when I buy something, in a way, it's funny, but the conversation in a way goes always towards the emptiness, innocently so. I'm not planning to do such a thing in the conversation, but in a way, it's
Really?
always, yeah, it's always ending up in a joke. We kind of are laughing together, maybe
Oh,
because
yeah.
we're
Even
seeing
when you're buying vegetables, right?
yeah, even then, or it's really like it doesn't matter in which it's crazy, and
So what do you say? Something like these carrots are so empty.
it's just innocently
Oh.
popping up no matter. It's so crazy, and I'm just like telling myself, can't I stop it? Why should it always go like this? Because it's, you know, but it's Yeah, it's funny. It's just funny.
And I saw your
Good, yeah.
video when you were walking through Hanover in the night time near the station, and you were going, oh, you know, this is, I thought, oh God, she's got to be careful because someone will come and take her away soon because,
This may happen,
you
sweetheart.
know, she's, you know, somebody will arrive in a van and take you away. What is this? What is this person
There
doing,
are,
skipping
I
and
guess.
jumping along the street?
Yeah, but okay.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, that's the joy, you know, that's then the highest excitement, right? I mean, but
Just what comes
well,
out.
you know, I would say, you know, I would say that joy and happiness, this is important. This is important, and it's something that's been spoken
There's just
about.
there's just a
You know,
preference innocently popping up like a preference, and
but the traditional spiritual path is always talking about peace, joy. That's it. You can't get away from that. If you look at any of the traditional spiritual paths, that's what they've been talking about for 3,000 years. Peace, happiness. That's what they're talking about.
yeah,
So that's it. There has to be that, because if there isn't, see, what's the point? Huh? If
Yeah.
there's not some kind of inner satisfaction or self-fulfillment or whatever you want to call it, see, what's the point of any kind of so-called path? You see, Hadar, she felt really good with her meditation. See, she felt some peace. That's the whole point, isn't it?
No. It was,
No.
I cannot explain that, but even now it's not about self-satisfaction, or it's not about that. There
What's
is
it
just
about?
this, but nothing special. This is
I didn't say it was
nothing
special.
special.
No, I didn't say
No,
it
but
was special, but
just a word, nothing special, just a word. But it's not to get something. There's no getting something from nothing.
yeah, of course, there's nothing to attain. It's just being what you already are, isn't it?
It's already happening. It's already happening.
Hmm.
Tony,
In a way, this why question is not popping up anymore here.
Tony raised his hand. I have to be the one. Tony,
Yes, I have to leave. I want to say something about words that doesn't matter. Words we have said a lot of times, and another thing, let's call energy. It's not a good word, and sometimes the same words feel absolutely different. Not the same words. And sometimes speaking about cars or anything is absolutely freeing, absolutely non-dual. And sometimes speaking with words, no mind, being everything, that is felt absolutely stuck in the mind. And this happens, and it's very clear. I don't mean that there's someone having an energy and someone having another. No, but that happens, and it's very, very, very clear, and it's funny. And at the end, doesn't matter. But it's very interesting.
Tony,
It's
Tony,
really
I
funny.
love you. I
Well-
didn't get it, but I think it's beautiful, sweetheart. Mwah.
Thank you. See you soon. On
Love
Sunday.
you. See
Love
you
you.
Sunday.
Bye.
You're the host.
you're the host. Well,
I would say that knowing that you have absolutely no control over anything that happens is
Just another
freedom.
idea.
Freedom, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's freedom. That's freedom.
I would say.
It's just another idea, sweetheart.
But it's funny, isn't it? Because most people hearing that would say, oh, that's a terrible idea. The fact that I'm not in control of my life is terrible. It's making me feel depressed. I want to be in control of my life. That's what most people are saying.
Yeah, but
Yeah, and they go to teachers.
look, if there was something like control, then there will always be good thoughts and good emotions and good feelings.
Mhm.
It's obvious that it's not the case. It's obvious. If there was something like an absolute control, no one was sitting here. Everyone was blissed out the whole time.
How boring.
There will only be good, so-called good thoughts and good emotions.
But let me
Yeah.
come back to Tony Daniels. He mentioned Anand. Anand, are you there, sweetheart? Can you hear us? Do you want to write something in the chat for Tony? He is curious about you.
Oh, it's just that I often see him, but he never appears. He's
Okay, just let's don't wait. He is not appearing, but he is writing from time to time.
okay. Right.
So it's quite obvious that there is no control in that sense.
Yeah, and that's a tremendous freedom. It's
But when there's a need, or
it frees you from being bound,
Mhm.
by this field of action that we cannot avoid, is you cannot avoid the field of action. There is doing, there is, there is life, whatever you want to call it. But if you feel, if you know that you have no real control over it, that you're just a kind of witness, to what is happening, then you're immediately freed from being bound to it by being a prisoner of it. You're no longer a prisoner of the action if you have no control over it. So that's freedom.
Freedom for someone.
But someone else might say that and they say, oh, no, it's terrible. I want to be totally in control of my life. And then there's suffering comes from that. But you can only say that freedom is there from not being in control if you also have something else, and that is beingness. There has to be the beingness to make that work, to make it so that there is freedom from having no control. There has to be the beingness.
Okay, Tony, sweetheart, I have to claim the opposite, of course. That's the game. Yeah, I have no sense of being free. And also no sense of being kept or unfree. This is not playing here like this.
Okay.
But just
that's fine.
Yeah.
For me, it's very
I think Rose is saying that
clear, and
there's no one who is able to enjoy that so-called freedom.
No, that's true. The freedom isn't an object.
That there is no doer, there's also no one for whom that freedom is able to.
Okay. No, the freedom is not an object. The freedom is not an object. What I would say is that you are the freedom.
Yes, and then I get it, and I don't, because it comes again to the linguistics of the you.
It's not being free of something, because if it was being free of something, then you would never run out of somethings. There would be this, that, the other, and when you covered all of the somethings that you thought you were free of, there would be something else. Yeah, so it can't be that. It must be that you are freedom itself.
But you mean the with you mean the impersonal you, right?
Yeah, I would say that. Yes, yes,
Okay, just to make it clear,
yes.
not the individual, you know.
It's impersonal.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
so cute.
impersonal.
Just to make it clear here,
No, but
so that there
you
are no
know,
misunderstandings.
no, but there is
Sander likes to make things clear, and I think that's really good
no, but there is
because it's important to be clear.
I
there
would
is
say there is just a misunderstanding the whole time, but let's make it clear.
yeah, but you know, I mean, when it comes to words, Rosa, I know totally. I understand what you want to say, but you know, things in a way, Tony is saying the same thing all along, but there's just a
I'm
different.
saying what you're saying, Sander. There is no separate
Yes,
me. So if there is nothing separate, then there's just you, because there is no subject and object. There's no division or separation between subject and object. It's the same.
there's
The
no you
observer is
doing
the
the youing.
observed.
There's
Yeah,
no.
so when I say there's freedom, I don't mean a separate freedom. I don't mean that something you're free of something that is separate from you. I mean you yourself,
Mm.
impersonally, fundamentally, in essence, you're the freedom.
Ouch. Patricia, sweetheart.
How does that
What's up,
resonate with
girl?
you, Rosa?
I always have to claim the opposite, sweetheart. That's the game. Patricia, say
That's
something.
funny.
That's again. Say something.
Say so. Yeah, come on, Patricia. Say something. Say something.
Hey,
No matter what, say
I'm
something.
gonna get my whip out. Come on, Patricia. Say something. Say something.
Well, I'm just amused by it all, to be quite honest. And,
That's a really good attitude. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't
Back
know.
to the entertainment point.
Yeah, but it's just also, you know, making me realize that, you know, there is nobody here in a way. You know, there's no person. So, yeah, there's no me. No me in between. Oh, what is it he says? No, I'm not even going to go there.
Oh, you're talking about the head popper. Yeah.
About Emmy line, full on entertainment, Patricia, already.
Yeah, just enjoying the conversations.
Same here. Yeah, beautiful. That's why I was begging you to say something.
Well,
It sounded
how
like
can you say
instructing,
something
not
about
begging.
nothing?
It sounded like
She said all that needed to be said.
yeah, that's it. I mean, how can you disagree?
I mean, I could tell you stories about myself, but that's not what it's about, is it? These are just stories.
Yeah.
I could spend about an hour speaking about, you know, what I've done, what I've not done. But yeah,
Okay,
it's just
Patricia,
stories.
so next Sunday you do it, sweetheart, okay? You try to
Well,
join, talk 1
well,
hour about your stories.
well, I'm going to a pantomime on Sunday.
Okay.
Oh, it's pantomime season.
Yes. I go there every year, so it's on Sunday, so I'll not be with you on Sunday.
What is this, Patricia?
I've got no idea. Somebody else books it for me. We go as a group every year. It's a family thing, and we've been going for about 20 years. So I've got no idea what it is. I'll text you and let you know.
Cool. Great, sweetheart. Nice. Yeah, it just entertainment here.
Yeah, I
Just
think this is a very
Patricia.
British thing, isn't it? You don't have pantomimes in Germany, do you? It's
That's
a
why I
very-
asked what this is. Pantomime?
Yeah, it's a very British tradition. Yeah.
It's a man dresses up as a woman, and it's just sheer stupidness and fun.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful.
And
Yeah,
just,
it's kind of like a slapstick. You
Yeah.
know, the word
you know,
slapstick is very,
it's
yeah.
for children. It's for children too, but there's lots of adult jokes in it.
And alcohol.
No, no alcohol.
Oh.
No, it's in a theatre. And the adult
Yeah,
joke,
well, you haven't seen the theatres that Rosa goes to. They're just boozing all the time. So it must be a different kind of theatre. German theatres are very different, you know. It's oh, I went to, oh yes, actually I went to yeah, sorry, I was going to.
I went to an English one in Oxford. Much to do about nothing.
Oh, yeah.
well, that's more of a play, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's a play.
Yeah.
Shakespeare.
Oh, yeah. Boring.
No, I went to a theatre once in Berlin, and I just try to think what was it? It was a kind of a pantomime, but it wasn't really.
Das Berliner Ensemble.
Oh God, I can't remember.
Bertolt
A long
Brecht.
time ago. No, it wasn't Brecht. No, I wasn't waiting for Godot. He never came. He never arrived.
Yeah, it's also just a play here, just a theater.
Yeah.
Puppets, blubbering. What a beauty. I love it.
Sweetheart, well, that's the end cue. I love it. Round it up.
Yeah, I love it.
I
Tony,
love it.
I can hear the cockerel starting to. You know, it's
Morning.
not far from dawn. I can hear the. Can you hear the co?
Ah,
Morning
okay.
has broken. Morning has broken.
Broken. La, la.
Like the first morning.
Beautiful.
Okay, sweethearts, thank you very much for tonight. And let's see, maybe you have to think about it, Gio. Maybe next Tuesday, if you want, you don't have to be a host, but maybe you want to come up with something. We can, you know.
No, you see,
A
the
theme.
idea of raising hand is not, it's not to limit or to nobody, but the song will be different. Because if a person raises his hand, he must start, go into the issue and finish it. And then the next one who wants to make a comment, he will make the same. So obviously the sense, the smell, the scent will be different.
And maybe we will get
Gio, why don't you?
Anand to show up next time.
Yeah.
Never seen him. Gio, why don't you just come up with a theme, you know, or a topic
Yeah.
to,
I might,
you know,
I don't
to
know,
discuss?
maybe.
Well, anyway, let's
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay,
If
I
you can,
love you all.
if you can, that's only if you can find a person who can come up with such a topic.
Yeah, that will be hard. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful night, day, morning.
Thank you.
Good night, sweetheart. Love
See you
ya.
next time.
Good night.